Hey gorgeous, this is episode number 245. You are listening to Hard Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Christine Schlonsky, and it is, correct, Variety Friday. Hoo-hoo! Just the two of us together. I'm in your ears delivering some amazing, inspiring content, and I really hope that helps you. Inspired by today's episodes 243 and 244 with the amazing Anita Nielsen about beating the bots and how to bring humanity back into sales, I thought I'm going to talk to you about consistency. Because especially in sales, consistency is so super important, but also business building. You can only build a business when you are consistent. And I don't know about you, but I oftentimes had the feeling like I'm putting so much work in and there's not enough coming out. And I noticed over the years, like observing my work and my progression and my results, to also see what my clients are capable of, what they are achieving, and then obviously having a look at my mentors, at my coaches, at people I admire. I noticed that at the beginning, it really does take time to get some momentum. And to build that momentum, you have to show up on a regular basis. You have to be consistent with your message. And interestingly, it also ties into sales because often we kind of think subconsciously in our unconscious, right? We feel like we do not want to be in people's faces all the time. We have already put out our message. We don't want to repeat ourselves. We don't want to come across as pushy or sleazy or salesy. And with being consistent and showing up and repeating your message, it will really help people to get what you're saying. And I'm quite sure you made that experience in your life that sometimes you have been listening to a message over and over again. And then there's this one person who says it in a slightly different way, or even the same person who has found a new way to express their message. And all of a sudden it clicks, right? You can really feel how now this message has gotten to you, how now you are able to understand, and how now it all makes sense. So just imagine that this would be you, right? You're putting out your message for people to understand, for people to really get the point. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of time, especially when you are starting to grow your tribe, when you are rather new in the market, or you just are new to entrepreneurship, or you're even thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. What can you do today that you can give that to people or share that with people that it adds value, right? One thing that just blew me away this week was I got a message saying that Hard Sales Podcast is number 51 on iTunes in the categories of business and entrepreneurships in Singapore. So I wasn't even aware I had listeners in Singapore, and I'm so pleased and grateful that I do. So if you're tuning in from Singapore, thank you so much for spreading the love, for sharing the podcast. Please keep inviting your friends. And if you are not in Singapore, please share the podcast so we can all make this big impact in people's lives and their sales game so they can take it to a new level. But to get there, I have been through quite some frustrations, right? Finding topics that I can share with you that I feel I'm adding value. And I've been definitely on that, well, let's say carousel where I thought like, I cannot teach this topic because I already talked about it. Or what can I do to really have a different topic for Variety Friday each and every single week? It's not that difficult, but sometimes it is. And if you ever have written a blog, or if you are doing a podcast, or if you're thinking about doing a podcast, or you're doing some kind of YouTube show, you probably notice that sometimes you kind of feel stuck. And when I'm in that place, that's usually coupled with some level of frustration and some level of procrastination. So getting through that and remembering why I want to show up is so important. And my guess would be it's so important for you too, because sometimes we just don't feel like it, and we need a little bit help and empowerment or uplifting words of others that helps us to move forward. So whenever you guys comment, or you send me an email, or you leave a comment on Facebook, on YouTube, or on LinkedIn, right? This is when my heart sings. This is such a beautiful reminder for me why I do what I do, especially in those times when I feel a bit frustrated about not knowing what's the next episode going to be about, right? And feeling kind of a little bit of stress to get it done so it can go into production, and, the audio can be nice and the music can be added, and like all of this. It does need a little bit of time in advance so that on the day you actually have the podcast ready to download. So my point for you is that no matter where you are on your journey, you will always encounter days or minutes or weeks, and hopefully not months, where you do feel that you can't be consistent, or you don't feel like showing up, or you have procrastination going on. And you might be asking you the question, like, who do I do this even for? Like, is this ever going to pay off? Will I ever have the influence that I want to make, the impact, right, I want to make? So the answer is, it's a clear yes. And whenever I get into this challenge, I look for examples where people have touched my life, and there are plenty of people who have, by just showing up, by having a podcast, by them writing a blog that helped me through the day, or where I found a golden nugget or an amazing idea that I implemented for myself and I got amazing results. So I just want to invite you to really be okay with who you are, to know that you are amazing and brilliant and beautiful and gorgeous and smart, and that you can make it work. But at the beginning of each business, it does take a while to get momentum, because you need connections, you need a network, you need more and more people who know about you. So that takes a little bit of time, right? So my invitation for you today is, be consistent. No matter if you get a like or a comment or some feedback, just keep showing up. And I promise you, the more you show up, the more you put your message out there, the better you will be off. The more people will know, because the more people will share. At the beginning of my journey, like I said that on one of my Variety Friday podcasts for you, when I wrote my very, very first blog article, it took me forever to write it. And I was so frustrated because it took forever. And forever, I mean like probably 2 to 3 hours. I couldn't decide on a topic, and I wanted to make sure it was inspiring. I wanted to share something personal of my journey. So I was like really, really frustrated. And then when it was done, I wasn't too happy about it, right? I was so hard on myself and judging. And then I just remembered one of my mentors just said that she was in that situation so often, and she just pressed publish, and then it was done. So I did the same. I took a deep breath, I pressed publish, and voila, I had my first blog post out there. And then I started to make it a routine. So for quite some time, I think in 2016 to 2017, I wrote a blog article each and every day. And guess what? First, nobody noticed. And then some people started to notice. And then, I had my first like, and then I had my second like, and then I had my 10th like and my 50th like, right? And people picked up on this. And the more you show up, the more you can do that too. It doesn't need to be a podcast. It doesn't need to be a blog, right? But show up for your tribe. Show up for those people that you want to serve. And even if they just watch secretly or read secretly and they don't comment and you don't even know they exist, I can promise you, you are making a difference to them, for them. And there will be beautiful stories that you will not be aware of. And there will be some stories that people will share with you where they tell you how you have impacted their life and how they are so much better off today. So please, in case you feel like it's not really worth it, I promise you, it's totally worth it. But you need to show up. And the more often you show up, the better. So thank you so much for having tuned in. Yeah, I would love to ask you to share Heart Sells Podcast with your friends, family, business partners, with anybody you feel like they could really benefit from having some positive impact of listening to great sales success stories of entrepreneurs who made it, because they all started out at some point. And they all started out with nobody on their lists. Well, maybe their mother and their cat and their aunt and uncle or brother. But usually people start out with 0 people on their list, with 0 following, with 0 clients. It's just one idea. And that one idea that's in your head and in your heart, that needs to be unleashed. That needs to come out. So whatever you are burning for, like what your burning desire is, share it with the world in an authentic way so people can connect with you first and then with your idea. I'm wishing you all the best, massive, massive success in sharing your amazing message. And please keep going. If you wanted to share your message with me, if you wanted to share your story with Heart Sells Podcast, and it is a story that's like super inspiring and really great, I would be happy to pick one of your stories if you send it in and feature you here on a Variety Friday, sharing your amazing story of how you were inspired by Heart Sells Podcast to share your story and to inspire other people. So don't hesitate, send it into info@christineschlonski.com. And you can also send in any feedback you have. I'm always excited of connecting with you and hearing from you. So don't be shy. Just reach out and I will reply to your message. And if you have not yet subscribed for the empowerment notes, do that as well. Hop on over to christineschlonski.com, find the podcast tab where you have all the episodes, including the show notes, the transcripts, the resources, and the key points and everything you need from each and every single episode, as well as a sign up for the empowerment notes. And that is empowerment right into your inbox, where I share content that I usually do not share on social media, where you get amazing invitations to additional trainings free of charge and also some paid opportunities. But that's always a choice. You don't need to take them. But it would be great to have you on the empowerment or in the empowerment tribe so you can really get all these updates as well as the latest updates on Heart Sells Podcast. Thank you so much for being here, for being a listener. I'm so grateful for you. And I'm wishing you a wonderful day wherever you are in this beautiful world. And I'm saying bye for now.